Alright YouTube, so today guys we have some rumors about Far Cry 5 and it possibly being a Western. This is another one of those things that stems from me looking up shit for Red Dead Redemption 2, much like the Bully 2 rumors. I was looking up shit for RDR2, and this shit pops up. Far Cry 5 possibly being a Western, taking some ideas from the Red Dead Redemption 2 stuff. But we are not using that site for today's article. We are using Forbes.com, but as with most stories we do here on the channel, there's so many sites that are talking about it, so you can go to any one and get pretty much the same info. There are a flurry of rumors about Far Cry 5. Ubisoft's not announced, but certainly happening next game in the franchise after the success of the series to date. Like Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft decided they would take some time off from Far Cry to avoid overexposure, but now it's looking like Far Cry 5 may be arriving this fall. The reason for the speculation is based on a number of sources, namely that the production company that filmed the live-action trailer for Far Cry Primal is filming another trailer in Montana, and Montana residents have been interviewed by Ubisoft about an upcoming game. Kotaku's Jason Schreier, I think is how you say that, the man with all the secret sources, has said he too has heard that the game is set in Montana, but has pointed out that everyone is assuming it's going to be a Western based on the location, though there's no actual evidence exists that proves that's the case. Kind of fucked up, there's a typo there, man, at the end. Fans are pretty convinced it's a Western regardless, however, mostly due to the fact that once upon a time, Ubisoft sent out a survey about future Far Cry locations/settings, and a Western was an option. Answers in the surveys have indeed been turned into actual games in the past, like with Assassin's Creed Unity and Far Cry Primal, though it's far from a sure thing. But even with these possibilities in play, I don't think it's out of bounds to guess that a Western could be in the cards. It certainly seems like something that could work in the Far Cry series, given that it can essentially go anywhere and still function as a Far Cry game. There would be plenty of animals to hunt in the Old West, and lots of period weaponry to use, and bad guy bandits/industrials to kill. However, there's one factor that makes a Western Far Cry at this particular moment seem ill-advised: Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar's return to Red Dead is going to be absolutely massive, and I wouldn't be surprised if it came close to Call of Duty to be the best-selling game of whatever year it comes out in. Currently it's slated for 2017, but knowing Rockstar, it's almost certain to be delayed to 2018. Still, does Far Cry really want to produce a rival Western with Red Dead on the horizon? If RDR2 wasn't delayed, I think this would be suicidal. But since it almost certainly is going to be, I can see the logic here. Another rumor says Far Cry 5 is coming out in September, and I'd be amazed if we saw RDR2 before March 2018 at best. Going first by this wide of a margin would mean that Far Cry Old West could carve out its own market with RDR2 still barely on the radar. That is something I can see working. Still, it seems like a big risk. The Montana setting, or something that looks like Montana, could be used for a number of storylines, and I'm just not sure a Western feels right for Far Cry. Maybe, but even if RDR2 doesn't come out at the same time, which would be an utter disaster, it's still going to be compared to that all-time great game regardless. Part of what makes Far Cry is that it usually feels like a unique entity, like it's not copying anything else except itself periodically. I don't know, I can see both sides of the coin here. We'll have to wait to know more for sure. E3 is in a month, and my guess is that we'll see the official reveal then, and a bunch of leaks before that. I think a Far Cry game with a Western setting makes total sense. It's already a first-person shooter game, which just kind of fits to the Western theme. A lot of guns were used back in Western days. It also makes more sense than Far Cry Primal did, which was kind of a weird one. I'm not hating on it, have not played it. It looked fun for the most part, but I mean, you're dropping like beehive grenades on enemies and shit, using like owls to drop beehive grenades. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. A Western setting makes total sense for Far Cry. Also, I don't know how often the first-person shooter open-world Western game has been explored. I don't know any goddamn games that fit that genre or category. I've never heard of any. They may exist. Maybe you know some. I do not. And the idea that them continuing with Far Cry 5 Western, whatever it's going to be called, is a bad idea because Red Dead Redemption 2 exists is kind of ridiculous, because the odds are that if this game is real and it exists, and it's coming out sometime around the time that RDR2 is coming out, they were probably already making this fucking game before Red Dead Redemption 2 even got announced. So why would they stop? It's been in production, it's been being made, there's no reason to quit. It kind of reminds me of the past couple of years with the Call of Duty situation. Nobody was wanting the futuristic setting, but these games are in a 3-year development cycle. They have to come out with the game every 3 years, each studio does. So like once they're already so much into production, there's nothing they can do. You can't just fucking backtrack on that. You kind of have to push forward and release the game and maybe change it up in the future. While I'm sure that Red Dead Redemption 2 will offer a first-person setting, given that people enjoyed it in GTA 5, it'll still be a drastically different game from a Far Cry that might be a Western, because they're just played differently. Far Cry is more of like a stealth-based open-world FPS game. If you want to go FPS, you can. If you just want to go renegade and kill everything, you can. Or you can stealth around the locations and kill everything. You can't really do that in Rockstar games. They kind of offered some sort of stealth-type thing in GTA 5, but it just wasn't that good. As always, let me know your thoughts below. Do you think that the evidence is enough to support the possibility of Far Cry 5 being a Western? Given that Ubisoft put out a poll and Western was one of the options, they have a history of making games out of the shit that wins the polls. The fact that the team that was out there filming a live-action trailer for Far Cry Primal is in Montana filming something, and the residents in that area were interviewed by Ubisoft about an upcoming game. Do you think it's all enough? Do you think it's going to happen? I'm looking forward to it, man. I happen to really enjoy Western games. I think the first Western game I played was Gun, and that shit changed my childhood. Anyways, if you went on to enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Follow me on Twitter. The links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake, 'cause I don't fucking care.